Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. I'm Lo, and today I'm going to bake a apple loaf. So as you know, Mike and I are going to be vlogging a journey that we've taken on board where we want to try and exercise more and just implement some healthy eating into our day-to-day. And we do love to have a really nice piece of cake, muffin or cookies when it comes to afternoon tea. And whenever we've done that in the past, we always just go to one of the local supermarkets and go to their bakery section and grab something there. We've decided that we want to start making one or maybe two things a week, and our main focus on that is to reduce the sugar and fats that we use in it. At least we know what we're eating that we've literally just put into it. So today I'm going to make a apple loaf, and the key to this is to try and minimize as much of the sugar intake as possible. This particular loaf already has a lot of sugar because it's covered in cinnamon and sugar, so I'm going to try and reduce it as much as possible and see how it goes. So this recipe starts off with 2 apples. We got a whole lot of apples last week, which is why we decided to make an apple cake this week, or a couple of apple cakes. I actually don't know what name this apple is. It's got a bit of a tang and sweet to it, but you want to use an apple like a Pink Lady, Granny Smith. Normally the tangier apples, they're the nicest ones to cook with. So peel this and we're going to chop it up. So I've now peeled and chopped up my 2 apples. This recipe is really only a 1 apple recipe, but I'm going to do 2 apples because I'm going to be reducing the sugar in this recipe, and I want the sweetness from the apples to be the alternative for that sugar. And there you go. I'm going to combine my brown sugar part of this recipe, and this brown sugar is the part that you're going to use as sort of a topping for the cake with the apple. So in that you're going to put half a cup of light brown sugar, and then you're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, and you're just going to combine those 2 together, and then we'll set it aside and we'll use it for when we start putting or combining things in the cake tin. So 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, and just mix that around, and then we'll be ready to start the next thing. So just give that a good mix, and then we can start doing the cake batter. So I haven't reduced the sugar in this part of the recipe. This is where ideally you want the sugar to sort of go and combine together with the apples, but I am going to reduce the sugar in the cake batter. Okay, so mix that around, and then we'll go and start making the cake. Now we're going to prepare the cake batter, and in here I've got half a cup of butter, softened butter, salt reduced softened butter, and I've got 1/3 of a cup of white sugar. The normal recipe is 2/3 of a cup of sugar, and I've reduced it to 1. So we're just going to cream that, and then we're going to add the other ingredients. So now that we've creamed up the sugar and the butter, I'm going to add 2 eggs, and I use free range eggs, and I'm going to mix that in that mixture as well, along with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then once we've got those in there, we can then mix it up, and we'll go from there. So that's 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and then another, and we're just going to combine those together, and then we're going to do the last bit of our batter, or our cake or our bread batter. Then we'll be able to bake it and set it into the dishes soon. Now I've just added some dry ingredients. I've put in 1.5 cups of plain flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and half a cup of milk, and I'm just going to mix that around, and that will eventually complete my batter. So now I've just greased my baking tin or baking dish, and I've put some baking paper in there, and I'm going to start the process of just combining everything into it. So you're going to just start with some of that batter, and you're just going to place that into there. So this batter isn't as watery as most of your cake batters because it's a bread, but you're going to place half of it in first, just like that. I'm just going to spread it out a bit, and then just spread that out. Just like that. It's a bit of a, this is probably the hardest part of making this whole bread, but that's what you do. I'll come back and I'll set it all up, and then I'll just show you what you need to do once the batter has been put in there. Now my batter's down, I'm just going to place some apples on there now. My apples were sitting out for a while. So because I'm like using more apples than expected, because normally this recipe is just a 1 apple recipe, but I'm using more because we've reduced quite a bit of the sugar intake in this recipe. So just pat that down, and then you're going to go and get the brown sugar that you got earlier, and you're just going to put that on top. You got to only use half of it for the first round, because you're going to do another layer of the same process for this cake. Honestly, the batter's really nice raw. You know how kids, when you're baking, you love the dough. Yep, this dough's really good. So that's the first layer, and now I'm just going to go and do the same thing again, and then we're ready to pop it into the oven. That out, guys. My apple loaf is ready. Wow, that looks so golden and delicious, and if you could smell the kitchen right now, it smells so divine. Place it on the cooling rack. Look at that. Separated perfectly. It's cooked through nicely. It's bouncy. Looks so good. And we made 2 of them. Mike made his own as well. Well guys, that was the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, or if you haven't already started following us on this journey, please click on the subscribe button. We would much appreciate it, and click on the bell notification icon so you can receive notification of all our upcoming videos. But I hope you guys get a chance to try this apple loaf out. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it, and until the next video, take care and stay blessed. Bye everybody.